So 2007 is when I started working at Zerodha. Back in the day, fintech broking wasn't as glamorous as it is today, right? So the word fintech didn't exist. So to take that bet on Nithin, who was very dear to me then, right? That was the only ground on which I started working for him. You shouldn't run a business with the sole purpose of making money, right? Money is always a byproduct. The first business draft that Nithin had drafted, and he said 20 rupees an order we're going to charge, it's going to blow people's minds. 1 lakh orders a day we make.
So thank you, Venu, for doing this. For context, the idea behind the show is that a lot of people know Zerodha, but they only relate to Nithin, Nikhil, and to an extent our CTO K. Of course, there are a lot more people in the business. There are a lot more people who are running the business. Of course, one of the most important ones are you.
Do you agree? You should. Yeah.
I mean, if you think so, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, apart from all the other things that he does, which is cricket, running, and a bunch of other things, he's also the CEO of the company. So let's start with you. I mean, if you can give us an introduction. Yeah.
Thanks Krishna for having me on this show. It's a walk down memory lane, right? It's 17 years since I joined Zerodha, 2007, so it makes it 18 almost. So 2007 is when I started working at Zerodha. Zerodha wasn't even born back in the day. We used to be a sub-broker for another larger broker in the country. It's been 17 years and it still feels like day one. I mean, you can attach fancy titles like COO, whatever, but then life hasn't changed for me. I still feel a lot of joy coming to work, and that's what I really enjoy doing. So happy to be here. I am hoping it to be a meaningful conversation and for people to find value in the time that we spend discussing whatever we discuss.
Sorry,
today.
I think before you talk about where you grew up, etc., you say it's still like day one. You say a lot of time has gone by. You know, I sometimes I lose track of time. I still can't believe that engineering is over. Like, I'm 33 years old and I'm married and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know how to put it in words. This is it's quite a special journey, right? I mean, Zerodha in itself, it's a once in a lifetime kind of a company in India. Not to toot our own horn, etc., but it is. It's a bootstrapped company. We've been able to do this with a very small team. Almost all in Zerodha come from very humble backgrounds. So it's a unique company in that sense. Do you even recollect certain moments in this journey where you very fondly remember, or where the stressful times, etc., or does it seem like it's all been a blur for the past 2 decades? Does it seem like a blur?
It's been a roller coaster journey, but the journey has always been upward, thankfully, and I'm very grateful for the sort of position we find ourselves in. To be honest, I'm very content in my life, right? You can call me unambitious, but I would put myself in a way of saying that I'm very content and I'm very pleased with how my life has turned out to be, especially in the backdrop of how I joined Zerodha. So I sort of discontinued education, not to the levels Nikhil did, but I dropped out of my CA course. And back in the day, fintech broking wasn't as glamorous as it is today, right? So the word fintech didn't exist. So to take that bet on Nithin, who was very dear to me then, right? That was the only ground on which I started working for him. And for me, I think we never really thought this big, right? So everything that has happened has been very organic along the way. And there have been various moments, right from 2011 when there was a mention of Zerodha in the Economic Times, to becoming the largest broker in the country one day, to announcing that we're going to do zero brokerage on investing. So there have been various times and events in the entire journey of having spent time here. So, I mean, it's been very like a fond experience
And
to summarize. Yeah.
you said, Nithin, how did you end up actually, I've never asked you this, even outside of this. How did you end up meeting Nithin?
So, I've known Nithin for 26 years now. So, I used to go to school in VV Puram. And
that's in Bangalore only.
This is in Bangalore, yeah. So this dates back to the day when Dr. Rajkumar, who's one of Kannada cinema's most iconic actors, he gets kidnapped by Veerappan.
Okay.
We just go into school and we are told that this has happened, and the school announces a shutdown. And Nithin used to stay in an apartment which was very close to the school, and I had a classmate of mine who also used to reside in the same apartment. So this was the Canara Bank apartment in VV Puram, and my friend was like, hey, you don't know where to go, there could possibly be riots, why don't you just tag along and come to the apartment? So we went to the apartment. That was the first day that I met Nithin. He must have been like 24, 25 years back then. So, and then in a couple of years, I happened to reside at the same apartment as well. So his dad, my dad, they were colleagues. They were both working for Canara Bank. So we've done a lot of fun things together. Like I've known Nikhil since the time he was in like grade 8 or grade 9. So just to see these two people come a long way in their respective journeys, I mean, it's been a very fruitful thing for me to watch, very up close and personal. And what has been even more special is that they haven't changed. Like once I got to know Nithin really well, from that day till today, he's been like everything around has changed. Cars have gotten bigger, homes have gotten bigger, but him as a person, I don't think a lot has changed.
But what was it like during those times? What did you do during those times? I don't think this is 2000s when you first met him.
Dude, I am not so old also. This is 2006, 6. So
you said 20 years back.
Yeah, so I met Nithin in 2000, but I was still in grade 9 then. Okay. And then spent some time in the apartment, and then we separated, as in we moved out of the apartment. My dad got posted to service Canara Bank in London, which is around the time that I'd also finished my graduation. I decided not to go to the UK.
Why?
I mean, I come from, I don't know, come from a very conservative middle class kind of a family. So back then, I don't think I had as much exposure. So I was very concerned. I was not sure if I would fit into the scheme of things abroad. So I decided to stay back. So the growing up journey, which is 16 to maybe 23, 24, I spent time, like I lived with my grandparents, during which time I learned a lot as well. So as I said, we parted ways. So I was not in touch with Nithin during this time. And just as I'd finished graduation, there used to be one of these social media platforms called Orkut. I don't know if you're even
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I had a login.
You used it?
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
I think back then Orkut and I think Yahoo Messenger were the only two things I think all of us really engaged with.
Quora was not there?
No, at least I didn't know.
I mean, no one used Quora.
So even internet access was like once in a while. Go to some uncle's home, he's got internet.
Those were the times in dial-up and all?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nithin was probably working in a call center. So connected back on Orkut. Orkut used to have a testimonial section where you could rave and write, testimonials about people. Left him a testimonial. We got connected back. And then this was also the time that I had completed my graduation and I had cleared my intermediate chartered accountancy exam, after which you're supposed to work under a practicing chartered accountant and complete your articleship for 3 years, which I was not very keen or eager to do because they pay you abysmally low salaries. So passed out of college, I joined HP, worked there for 3 months. It was again like a BPO of sorts, and then I connected back with Nithin, and he said, "This is what I'm up to." I don't know, as in hindsight, I don't know if it sounds weird, but there was, like, when you meet some people, you feel they'll go on to become, they'll go on to fare well in their lives. It's like
It's
not
pure hunch.
Yeah, just I don't even know if you can call it a hunch or what. It just plays on the back of your mind, hey, this person, you know what, it's nice to be in the company of this person, right? So that was, I think, the trigger for me to join, to start working with Nithin. Because I've scored good marks through and through, right? But I'm not very studious. I wouldn't put myself in the bracket of
Would
someone
you
who
call
would,
yourself a backbencher or a?
I aspired to be a backbencher, but I think I progressed. I made that progress from school to college. So school, I was the front bencher, and as and when
You kept
I kept getting backbenched.
Wanting to be cooler.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
yeah.
so that's like the coolness quotient
Yeah.
with Nithin was too high back in the day. So which is why you would want to hang
Even
around.
today?
Which is why you wanted to hang around with him. So that happened because I said I was not very studious, and in life I did not really think through so much that I want to join a broking firm or I want to be associated with finance. So the only reason I picked up commerce was in the apartment. There was this kid who had picked up commerce, and I would see him loitering around in the clubhouse all the time. Right? Basically, he wouldn't be confined to home. He would just be having fun all the time, which is what I wanted to do also, which is why I went into, I picked up commerce. I did my +2 in Vijaya College. Then I went on to PS College where I finished my graduation. As I said, I was also doing my chartered accountancy at the same time, but the idea of doing an articleship didn't really thrill or excite me as much. So I told Nithin I'll come work with you. But before that, as I said briefly, I had worked at HP for 3 months. So in HP, I was very excited to join because I still remember you would get like some 12,000-13,000 rupees as your salary. But what excited me more was the conveyance allowance that they would give, right? So they give you like a petrol allowance, and I would ride my bike and they would give you like 8-10 rupees for a kilometer, and you would make like 5-6K in conveyance allowance. So it was a good package. It felt good
Like
back in the
made
day.
it.
Yeah. I mean, you're 23, 24, you're making 18-20 grand a month. So yeah, but it didn't sit very well with me. I didn't really enjoy. So
one thing.
Yeah.
This whole UK thing, I'm very curious. You're 16 years old. Your parents are moving. You have a sibling, and it's a she.
Yeah, my sister is 7 years older to me.
She's moving.
Yeah.
And you decide to stay back. Irrespective of what you say about you not having exposure, how does, like, I'm still wondering, how does that happen? Because your parents are moving, your sister's moving, you're staying back.
I don't know if I was inherently...
Obviously, there's a lot of glamour to it.
Probably the first time your parents are going abroad and they're probably staying there for longer, they wouldn't be able to come back for like another 6-7 months.
6-7 years.
6-7 years?
Yeah,
yes, but at least to visit maybe like another...
I did visit. I mean, occasionally during summer holidays.
Yeah.
But I don't know, inherently, as I said, I grew up in a very guarded kind of a family, right? So I didn't know if I would be able to adapt to
new environment,
a new environment with people of different origin, culture, etc. So I think I was scared. Simply put.
But was it your decision? Like, you were so aware of everything happening?
No, I mean, what awareness did you have back in the day?
No,
dude?
but I'm saying, how would why would your parents also make this
I mean, my
decision?
grandparents were here, right? So
it was an easy decision.
Yeah, it was fairly.
But you also mentioned when you were talking earlier that between 16 to 23 is when you learned a lot. What did you mean by that?
My granddad, who passed away a couple of years ago, ran. The restaurant still continues
Plug it.
to
Plug
run.
it.
Which
Plug it.
restaurant? I actually
I mean,
want to know.
it's something that I am very proud of, right? Because I have had interactions with people like when I was when I went to the UK during my holidays. I've interacted with people where they've said, hey, you know what, we've gone to this restaurant, we really love the food there, we've packed the dosas from there and we've gotten it all the way to London or whatever, right? So it's something that I'm very proud of, and the restaurant is called Dwarka Hotel. It's one of Bangalore's iconic OG restaurants. So as I said, I grew up with my grandparents, and I have seen my grandfather work very closely, right? And there are a lot of overlaps in the kind of learnings that I've had working at Zerodha and the time that I've spent here. One of which is to say, you shouldn't run a business with the sole purpose of making money, right? Money is always a byproduct. And while this sounds good on paper, can this be implemented in reality? I mean, I have two examples sitting right in front of me where everything has been service oriented, everything has been done with a commitment to service what you're intended to, right? So for example, even my grandfather was the most well-off person in our family, right? But even when he was like 80, he would be the first person to turn up in the restaurant on a Sunday morning. And we're talking at like 4:35 in the morning, taking in charge of the kitchen, making sure everything is set by the time the restaurant opens at 7:30, right? I mean, there was no need for him to do that. He could just have whiled away. He could have sat at home and chilled all his life, not worked another day and still lead a very contented life. But he was driven by the motivation to service people, right? And he's done very well in his life, right? So as I said, the restaurant still continues to function. And it's a heritage, it's a legacy that I'm very proud of. So I don't mind pitching about it at whatever instance that there is.
What did you do at the hotel? You mentioned you
So
saw him
I
closely.
have been, I remember pitching to my granddad when I was in, I think grade 5 or 6, saying I'll wear one of those costumes and get people into the, but then I've done everything from managing the cash counter to serving chutney at the restaurant to making dosas at the counter. Yeah. So I've practically done, and it's something that I really enjoy. So
should I do a Nikhil and ask you about takeaways of working in the sorry Nikhil, but no, on a serious note, are there, like, every business has its own charm. I love these old hotels, right? In Udupi there are so many hotels which have renovated now. Me and my wife, we keep talking how all of them have lost such a beautiful opportunity to retain the ambience as it was 40-50 years ago, keep the same people, etc. At the Dwarka Hotel, the people who've been running, have they stuck around for longer? Is that the essence of the business in itself?
Again, the similarities between the philosophies of how you deal with people, it's the same, right? Like the head cook at my granddad's restaurant, I think he's been around for 30-35 years.
That is, for people who don't know, that is
a lifetime.
Yeah. And it is unknown in a hospitality industry.
Yeah, in today's, it's I don't put it as much as hospitality. I think it's more service. Right. And it's not that because my grandfather has also taken care of them very well, right? As in, he treats them how he would treat his family, and it's exactly how I see it being replicated at Zerodha. Like the first 100 or 200 people that joined Zerodha, I think the attrition rate in that cohort of people, I think, is less than 5%. Like all of these people who at least I deal with, because the way you work up. So I handle process and ops, a little bit of compliance also. And this is sort of very core to what Zerodha does, right? I mean, there's a lot of importance on what tech does, but for day-to-day orderly functioning of the business, you need to have a very sort of core, strong process team. And all of the people that I work with, I worked with them, if I can remember, for over 10 years. And that speaks something in an industry which has sort of gotten glamorized over, say, the last decade, right? The kind of money that has flowed into this industry, the kind of packages that people have been offered. It's not to say that people who are part of my team have not gotten opportunities elsewhere, but they have decided to overlook such opportunities, and they continue to offer their services to Zerodha for the reason that the organization has also taken care of them very well, right? So there are a lot of similarities between how I have seen my grandfather operate his business and how Zerodha has come about as an entity also. So this is sort of ingrained in me as a philosophy. So more than anything else today, and I think this has always been the case, I value a value system, right? I can't operate without a value system. And the reason I turn up to work today is because I enjoy coming to work, and the work we do, it aligns so core with my core values, right? So it's just been like a beautiful
transition of sorts also, right? Like, I mean, from...
It's not transition, it has been the same.
Consistent?
Yeah, it has been, which is why like the philosophy that we set out on day one, which is to say we will not missell, right? Because I remember when
sorry to cut you, this is when you were doing Reliance Money, like you were sub-brokers for them, or this is right at the start of Zerodha?
No, so the reason why Zerodha happened was because we felt there were a lot of shortcomings in the broking industry, right?
What do you mean by that?
For example, I don't know. I mean, there have been so many...
No, pricing is obviously the one.
Pricing was never the player. I mean, look, when Zerodha started, you needed something disruptive,
right?
Which is why we said 20 rupees an order.
Right.
But I think in the back of our minds, we always knew you can't capitalize on pricing.
On
right?
just that.
It can't be moat.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing 20, someone will come and do 19,
the same thing.
18. Yeah. So I think we didn't want to set ourselves apart just based on pricing. So while working at the sub-broker's office, we noticed, I mean, we worked very closely with them because we were, I think, their largest sub-broker for the southern
region.
For the southern region. So we sort of got first-hand experience or a peek into the functioning of a broking entity, right? And the kind of not illegal, but the kind of things, shady things that were happening, like relationship managers or your branch managers, they were all driven by brokerage targets, right? So to say, if you make 5 lakhs in brokerage, you take home 1 lakh as your salary, right? And these people would do anything to the extent that they would create fake PAN cards to apply for IPO applications. So we've seen very closely how this industry has operated. Yeah. Of course, in the last 10 years, there has been a significant shift in how brokerages have operated, right? So today it's a lot more, I would say SEBI has done a phenomenal job in sort of ring fencing and making sure that client assets are protected, at least in the last 4-5 years. So today, the odds of a broker going bust, I would not say is non-existent, but the chances are very, very slim, right? So having seen that there are so many inconsistencies in the way the broking industry operated, we felt there was a need for someone to drive a change. And as Nithin has always said, technology was a big cost back in the day, right? To set up OMS, RMS systems, technology.
OMS, RMS for context is order management system and risk management system.
Yeah, so they're core to every, so anytime you buy or sell, execute a transaction effectively, it goes through these systems. So they're very core to the functioning of any broking entity. So technology was a big cost, and NSE came in and said, "Ki boss, we will take care of technology. You just build business." So that is sort of what allowed us to start Zerodha in the first place. And the idea again, it seems very revolutionary for back in the day. But it was common sense, right? It was driven by common sense. Like if you opened branches across the country, you would have fixed costs, and to recover these fixed costs, you would have to charge higher rates of brokerage. And traditionally, brokerages have always been a factor of the volume, right? So if you bought for 10 lakhs versus someone buying for 10,000, you would pay a percentage. And because trading had gone electronic, it didn't make sense to charge a percentage based brokerage. So we needed to be disruptive in the market to sort of announce to the world, hey, we are here. Why don't you use our services? So pricing, the discovery of this 20 rupees happened that way. And I very distinctly remember the first business draft that Nithin had drafted. And he said 20 rupees an order we're going to charge, it's going to blow people's minds. And he chalked out like a plan for 5 years, and it ended at 1 lakh orders a day. We make 20 lakh rupees a day in revenue, which translates to say 4 crores, which is 50 crores a year. I mean 50 crores in 2009-10 when Zerodha was being set up, blew our minds. So for me, I think the inherent interest was to be part of something that eventually goes on to become big, right? So that was my motivation. Big to the size of 50 crores, not to the size where we are.
How much did it
today.
Eventually be, the 5 year down the line, 2015?
I don't remember, dude. I don't. I mean, so some of these things I don't really. I mean, we don't track as a business, right? So when Zerodha started, I think one of the conscious calls that we took was we're not going to hire anyone from the broking industry, not for any ill intentions, but for the reason that we wanted someone with a fresh mindset who was not driven by brokerage targets, etc. Because once you're driven with a certain motive, which is not in the client's interest, then everything sort of tends to lead in a direction which is not in the client's interest, right? So this was a call that we took in 2010, and it still remains true.
How many people were in the team back then when you guys were just starting out?
It was just 5 of us. I was technically employee number 1 at Zerodha.
Yeah. No, not technically. I think you are employee number 1, right?
Yeah. So, that philosophy has not changed. We said we will never missell to the client. I don't see us having changed on that front either. So some of these core principles that were set out back in the day, we continue to live by that rule book. And as I said, that is what motivates me to come to the office.
Interesting you say rule book, because I had this one question. I think when Zerodha started, a lot of the hiring culture and the people culture, who was driving it? Because it does have like footprints of you also in it, in terms of how we've hired, especially in the process team. I think most people know that Nithin doesn't like to get involved in other teams. I think he's bothered about his team, that's it. So I'm guessing he's never come and asked or even told you how to do things in process, etc. But when you hired people, how did it really happen? Because everybody is probably very keen to know, why do we have such a really efficient team? You already said we've got like so many rock stars, etc. So how did that happen? And we all know the story about how it happened, but I don't think most people know.
I mean, even I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, that's the
But it's a well-known secret internally how the process team really came about as well.
So I think back in the day, we didn't really have separate groups of people doing separate things.
Yeah.
So all of this compartmentalization of people doing certain things has only happened as we've grown as an organization. So in the initial days, everyone was doing everything. Like you said, Nithin doesn't like to interact. Nithin would be doing sales calls. He would be doing support calls. He would be answering emails. So all of us have done everything, at least the initial, say, 100 people who worked at Zerodha. The hiring, I don't know, it was driven mostly by first principles and common sense. One thing that we did not really look out for was we didn't really attest a lot of importance to people with degrees or people with relevant degrees. We never really put out
or credentials.
Yeah. So as long as the sort of vibe match happened, we were up for it. And most of the initial hirings that happened, they were all through references. So it was one guy hiring or referring another person from his own village or from his own taluk. And most of the people that we hired in the initial days, they don't even come from Bangalore.
Where do they come from? Please.
They come from Dakshin Kannada. They come from Shivamogga, Tirthalli, Hubli. So they all come from different parts of Karnataka, and it's just been organic. They come in, they like the culture, they like. See, at the end of the day, what do people also look out for, right? As in work, of course, yes. But if there's mutual respect, the organization credits you for the effort that you put in, and that's something that I've seen very closely with Nithin, right? Like if there are some takeaways for what I've learned having spent so much time with Nithin, is that he makes it worth people's time, right? And to acknowledge that effort, not just in terms of saying, hey, you did well, but in other walks as well, just to be there for support in all forms. I think it sort of gels well with people, right? Because not everyone is driven by money. So as I said, and these are people who come from very humble middle class, lower middle class backgrounds, and they're all flourishing well in their lives, and they've seen this growth trajectory in their personal lives, which is why they still continue to work at Zerodha. There have been times when disruptions have happened. People have had to spend days where they've gotten 4 hours sleep, 3 hours sleep. Not to say that it is good, but then there are times where it's out of your control, right? And they've all delivered on this front voluntarily without even us saying, this expectation has sort of sunk in, where they feel a sort of oneness with Zerodha. You can't separate Zerodha and them. They feel very close to the organization at heart, which is what they continue to do. So I think developing that ethos in people, it comes with time. It can't happen with a new recruit. So organically, as I said, as the team size grew, we've had to bring in designations, we've had to bring in hierarchies, not for any reason except that it becomes easier to manage, right? So for example, in the initial years, everyone's appraisals were being done by Nithin, but as the team grew, it wouldn't have been possible, which is why we had to nominate people in positions where they could do appraisals or they could manage a smaller set of people. But despite all of this, I think we still continue to operate as a flat organization. Flat in the sense that the degree of separation for someone who joins Zerodha today to Nithin is 1, right? Which is to say that if it's your day 1 at Zerodha, there is nothing that is stopping you from being able to reach out to Nithin, right? So in that term, we're an absolutely flat organization. There are different forums through which, and it's not even that Nithin doesn't pay heed to it, or he says, why don't you look at it because it's a new employee. Again, another takeaway is if you are running a business and you want it to be successful, it's very important for you to be aware of what is happening on the ground, right? You can't be disconnected. You can't sit in your ivory towers because you're the CEO and expect someone else to run it for you. At the same time, takeaway 3 is Nithin never interferes, or the organization ethos is not for someone at the top to interfere in someone else's decision if they are not a subject matter expert, right? Again, top I say only because this hierarchy has been created for the need of easier management. So for example, if someone on like who I work with says that this is the best way to do it, I mean, I have to put my faith, I have to put my conviction and let them operate with a certain sense of liberty, because I know they care well for the business, right? I can't shove in and say, boss, I am the one who's going to be driving these decisions, right? So for example, on the tech front, Nithin makes no decisions, right? I'm sure on the investment front, and you can vouch for it, like he will enable you. He puts your conviction in you and he backs you. And he lets you, so this also allows for people to flourish. It gives them a sense of confidence. It sort of transpires them into becoming leaders, right? And that's what eventually every business wants. If you want to ensure continuity of the business, you can't be around forever. The only hope that you can have is for you to groom people who can have a sense of ethos, who can have principles, who can have philosophy, because everything else can be taught, but philosophy, to drive that is very difficult. You can just do all of these things and hope for the best outcome for any organization.
You spoke about all of takeaways you have from Nithin.
Yeah.
If we ask all of the people who are reporting to you, what will they say is their takeaways from?
I mean, that you will have to ask.
I'll ask them for sure. But I wanna know how self-aware you are of your capabilities, because everything you said, you have to give me 1 or 2 things that you feel your team has picked up over the past, like, whatever number of years, which you no longer have to do, which you used to do it earlier. I'm sure there are tons of them, but what have been a few things? Because it's such a critical part of the business. I think every day you come in not knowing what's going to come, right?
Absolutely.
And I think the team is even more aware of that. And I've noticed it. And at least in this building, if there's one section which is a lot more aware and a lot more present, is I think the process team, because I think they're handling a lot more critical stuff in the business. Can't, say, oh, something happened. You can't say that. So what have they picked up from you?
Also, for context, if you can set up, what does the team really do in actual? What does a day-to-day look like?
So the process team essentially does many things. As I said, it is to ensure that your day-to-day ops at Zerodha is being taken care of and is being run in a smooth manner. So the functions are subdivided into various groups. So right from, say, doing risk management, which is to ensure that the risk is mitigated. So people take positions. There are different segments in which people can take positions. So there are derivatives where positions are taken on the basis of margins, right? So how do you ensure that clients don't lose more money than what they've given us? Because derivatives are risky contracts to trade in, right? So essentially ensuring that risk at an organizational level in respect of trading is curtailed. All of those aspects are taken care of by the risk management team. So there is a funds team. So anytime clients transfer funds, ensuring that the funds are updated, not that someone sits and manually does all of these things. All of these have been streamlined and have been automated over the course of the last few years. But just ensuring that these processes are running smooth, because imagine someone transferring funds and not finding this limit updated, they miss opportunities to transact, etc. Then there is a settlement team. So when you buy or sell stocks, you're supposed to receive or give stocks based on the kind of transactions that you have done. So coordinating with depositories, ensuring that we call them as pay in and pay out of securities, ensuring all of this is done on time effectively. Then there is a surveillance team. So as brokers, we're also entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring that the markets don't become a place for carrying out non-genuine or fraudulent kind of transactions. So there is some form of surveillance that is not some form, there is a great degree of surveillance that brokers are expected to do. So ensuring all of this is done. Then we have a very active and thriving partner business, which is we associate with the people who become referrers of customers to Zerodha, ensuring compliance of things that these partners can do, cannot do, etc. So it spans various things.
How big would be the team?
I think between different departments, I think about 200 odd people, if I'm not wrong. So takeaways.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, again, this is something that the team will have to vouch for. But I tell the team, I think I would like to consider myself meticulous in my ways of doing things.
Yeah.
Again, this is something that I have learned from my father, who was very meticulous in the way he operated, and from my grandfather, who took meticulousness to a next level. Like he would be anywhere and he could tell you exactly what a certain thing, where a certain thing was placed in his almirah. He would say, go here, open this door, third drawer, open this, on the left side you'll find this item, and it would be right there, right? So I think that is sort of ingrained in me. So I think because process is very meticulous, right? There are set ways of doing things which you can't deviate from. So if one thing that I feel my team has taken away as a learning from me, I think is that sense of meticulousness in the approach of how they do things. Then I always tell the team, look out for different ways of sort of reaching that end expected outcome, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for example, we do a lot of reconciliation related work, right? So there are, so you can't be confined to doing these actions in one way only. So let's say you start with a certain point and there's a certain end goal that you have to achieve. Let's talk in terms of a client balance, right? So customer had X balance, the customer did transactions, the customer transferred in so much money. The expected outcome of this these many transactions is a certain number, right? So I tell the team that you can't be confined to doing this in only one way. Figure, say, one or more methods and your end goal has to match, right? Because if that number is wrong, tomorrow if clients log into the platform and they see their values to be updated incorrectly, I mean, that is, I mean, that's like a death sentence of sorts, right? So
has that happened before?
No, thankfully, touch wood.
Touch wood. Please touch wood. Yeah.
So figure alternate ways of trying to reach the same end goal. So you're sort of thorough in what you have done as a process. So these are some things that I would assume. But again, as I said, the takeaways you will have to gather.
Do they also open protein powder packs with scissors? You know, the other day we were opening a protein packet. You know, it has that indenture, so I was gonna like rip it apart. Is his protein packet? Suddenly says, whoa, hold on, got a scissor, and suddenly noticed again how meticulous Venu is with protein packs. And but I think on a serious note, I think it's is it sometimes like a burden, like to be meticulous? Like, do you feel that, like, I know over so many years it becomes second nature, but do you sometimes also feel that I wish there was a day where I don't have to be meticulous?
No.
No?
I mean, I am meticulous, but that doesn't mean I am, like, I'm lazy. Like, I would bucket myself.
If you are lazy,
Dude, I am not the type like you
What?
who goes to Bombay for a business meet
So?
and runs 10 km on Marine Drive. So
What,
don't
he
put
did?
me.
No,
Yeah,
no,
dude.
but that is not about
That
not being
is-
lazy. I was
no.
eating stuff and I was like, let me go burn some of this
No,
stuff.
I
also.
think for me, it frees up my mind,
Hmm.
right? When I know, like I've taken care of these things,
Yeah.
I think it allows me a lot of freedom
Yeah.
to not be meticulous.
Hmm.
Like if I didn't do that,
Yeah.
then
You'd
I
be
would
constantly
always have
worried.
that plaguing on my mind ki what if this
Yeah.
goes wrong. Take away 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Always know what your worst outcome is.
Yeah.
Make peace with it.
Yeah.
If you can, don't
Hmm.
worry about it. Right? We'll need like a list to pop up here.
No, I think
One,
we'll
two,
put
three,
We'll
four.
make it in the
we'll
edit, yeah.
put bullet points.
Yeah.
One more question on your journey also. Your dad worked in the bank.
My dad joined Canara Bank in 1973
Three.
when he was 23.
Okay.
He retired from Canara Bank in 2010
Okay.
when he turned 60.
Okay.
So he served 37 years of his life
Again.
at one organization,
So it's,
which was, I think, a norm back
back
in the
then.
day.
Yeah.
I can't expect someone of, forget your generation, I can't expect someone of my generation, which is 80s, to do something of that sort.
Yeah.
But why not? I mean,
I don't know. I think people are driven, as I said, very differently. And I would assume, again, I don't have any stats to back this, but I think money would rank a lot more higher. And it's not very often that you come across a team or a group of people like Nithin, Nikhil, K, Karthik, etc. Right? So all of these things to fall in place, again, as you said, is a once in a generation thing. I would assume.
Yeah.
So I don't know if everyone gets lucky to find this group of people where the synergies, the philosophy, the camaraderie that you have for each other is so tight bound, right? Which is why I think people are driven by other things in life, which is what gets them to shift. And there's nothing wrong in it, right? I mean, to each one their own. I'm not here to sit and say this is how it needs to be done. Whatever.
Yeah. But so your dad worked in the bank for so long.
Yeah.
You had a ringside seat to see how he really worked and what his, like, at least say, ethos were.
Yeah.
Did that also have an impact on you in terms of?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you a degree of meticulousness comes from the way he operated as well, right? Again, he was very service oriented.
Yeah.
Just because he was heading a branch, he would not chill. He would be the first person to be in the branch. He would be the last person to come home, and my mom would complain about it. But he was wired that way, right? So I think inherently that has sort of like there's been a spillover effect of that on me. And
how did you transition over to being fit? Somebody sees your photo from 2010.
I saw one. The first time I saw you was the prank one. In that one, you look different to what you look now.
But I would like to believe I was fit even then.
Like you were bulkier, but you were fit, you're saying, yeah?
I don't know how it was for you, Dinesh. Krishna, I'm not going to ask you because you're too young. For me, back in the day, the only thing that I wanted to do in life was to play cricket for India.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a very far-fetched
No, I
dream.
think
It's a common thing that is there across.
no, but sorry.
When you interact with people of the 80s?
At least the older generation, at least our generation, like my generation, 90s, and your generation.
Still is the same thing.
Isn't the problem that the only sport we had
Exposure to, right?
is cricket.
No, I think the only exposure you had of any form
Of entertainment and
whatever was
activity,
cricket, right? There was nothing else to look up to.
But I think it's also got to do with so many people in and around us being so excited about a cricket match, right? It's just 11 people out of
Yeah.
like a huge country.
And cricket then was not like how cricket is today. Like today, there's a match every other day, and then we would have to wait
Yeah.
for when cricket matches would be televised, and then freak, this Krishna will feel like we're so old, dude.
Yeah. You watch cricket?
I don't know.
I don't know if you've done that.
Yeah.
Like some of these tournaments, DD would not telecast, so it would be on Star or something, and we would have an antenna at our home which you would move
Oh, that I've seen.
to catch the signal of the neighboring guy, because you didn't have cable television at home, just so you could watch those
Some dotted.
blurry feeds. So I come from that generation. So like even in school, college, I've only played cricket mostly, right? Like you get a period of, like I said, I studied in Vijaya College. There used to be Krishna Rao Park, like just up the road. We would be in the ground playing cricket. So I think I've always sort of tried to be active, and then when you are in college, you want to hang around with the big guys, right? Both in terms of age and in terms of size, which is when
Coolness.
which is what Nithin also was. Like he's still huge. So that's how I got into the gym. And again, I come from a time when the coaches at gym would tell us, don't run on motorized treadmill because you would not grow tall. They would not. They were trying to save on electricity cost.
Cardio ruins your muscle gains.
No. As in all of that, yeah, this bro science has happened. But I mean, what I was trying to say was I've always been active. So even when you see my photos where I was little bit
We'll put the
chubby.
before and
Yeah,
after.
we'll put it here.
I would still like to believe that I was fit for then. But yeah, so I think fitness has now become more holistic. It's not just the way I look. It's the way I eat, it's the way I sleep, it's the way I recover, more so because I'm now on the other side of
40.
40s. So
It's crazy.
yeah,
Even
but I don't feel a day older than 23.
And he just did a HYROX as well.
Yeah.
So
Dude, as in, yeah, I took
But all
too
this
long.
tracking and all, do you think it helps? Like, as in, is it helpful for you? All the whoop.
I hope it does. I'm
Like, as
putting
in,
it all on.
But is it overbearing? Like in terms of
No.
tracking?
I mean,
no?
I just have a Whoop that I track.
You track your sleep and
I think once you do it for long enough, it
Yeah.
becomes second nature
Second
to you,
nature.
right? So I can't binge
Mm.
on anything. Like,
Are you a foodie?
I don't think so. I mean, I like to eat good food, but being a vegetarian, I'm constrained by my
options.
choices in life. So even when we
I
travel,
relate to you.
Huh?
I relate to
Are you
you.
vegetarian also?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so even when we travel, it's not like we get to experience like I mean, we'd be on, like when we go on family trips with Nithin and all, like these guys would be eating
Whatever.
raw,
Yeah.
like protein
Yeah.
rich diet,
Yeah.
and we'd be eating pasta and bread and yeah, dude, I mean, it just feels so unfair, but yeah, that's how it is. So I mean, I like good food,
Yeah.
but what appeals to me is South Indian. I mean, any day puliyogre mosaranna is
Yeah.
right up there.
Again, Dwarka, guys.
Cool. Coming back, so one question that I wanted to ask was, over the past few years, SEBI has been relentless in every manner to, protect the investors and all, be it FNO margins, be it referral, all those things. Now, these are, hard problems to solve from a regulatory standpoint in the business. So, like, what does a day look like in that?
So there's a lot of nuance to it, right? Now, why does SEBI do what it does, right? I mean, it's definitely not to inconvenience the ecosystem or to say the broker is making too much money, let's figure ways of putting a restriction in it, right? I mean, you must understand that SEBI, where it sits, has like a larger responsibility, which is to ensure that the interest of the investor is protected, right? Because if there are no investors, there is no market, no brokers, right? So I think at the core of it, like even we believe that the interest of the investor has to be protected. So all of these reforms that you spoke about, I don't know if things could have been done differently than something as drastic as what was done. But if you're in the industry, I think if you don't have the foresight of seeing what is coming, then I think you're 2 steps behind, right? It's not that these things come to you as a shock. Because you've been around for so long, you see the data that SEBI is also putting out. So for example, even before they introduced all of these derivative measures, they put out papers around how there was a surge in retail F&O, how people were losing money. So if those did not serve as hints to you saying there's a possible regulatory change which is coming, then as I said, you're not headed in the right direction as a business. So it's not to say that all of these came as shockers, but you have to prepare yourself for it, right? We work in an industry which is by design very regulatory, and it requires it to be this way, right? Because we're custodian of client funds and securities, and if you don't safeguard them, then there is breach, and there's no one who would want to participate. So in that sense, I think SEBI has done a phenomenal job of ensuring regulations are upheld. Could they have done things differently? Yes, of course. But then everyone is entitled to their opinion. The place they find themselves in, they have a larger responsibility to serve. So whatever decisions happen. So you have to work around it. I don't think there is any way. We're not someone who would want to operate in regulatory gray also, because we're not driven by revenue, right? So for example, you spoke about margins. So again, a conscious call that we took when Zerodha was started was we're not going to have differential pricing to customers. So even if you trade with 10,000 rupees or 100,000 or 10 crores, my brokerage plan is 20 rupees. My margining to you will not change depending on
the amount you bring.
Yeah. So all of these things have helped us in the long run. So when the concept of peak margins came about, which is so margining. So for clients who take positions, you're supposed to ensure that they have the requisite margin in their account. And for the longest time, the regulators or the exchanges would only ask you for margins on an end of day basis, which means that if you have 10,000, the broker would give you any amounts of leverage to trade intraday under the condition that you close all of these positions before the end of the day. Now that's a route that we never took. We always insisted that we want you to have the exchange stipulated margins upfront, which is why when the peak margin regulations of 2020, 2021 came about, implementation was not difficult, right? Same with some of these products like not offering gold in digital format, right? It would have been so easy for us to plug in and offer this to our investors, but having this foresight that this is gray, this is not something that we should be doing, I think is required in the business. Yeah. So,
but then just one follow on to this is, what does a bad day look like?
A bad day, honestly, for me, touch wood, is when Kite is not working. And we all always hope, not hope as in there have been very concrete actions that have been taken to ensure uptime of Kite. We also have, I want to take this opportunity to also pitch in the WhatsApp DR platform that we have, the disaster recovery platform. So just in case there is an untoward incident and Kite as a primary trading interface is not available. We've also built an interface where people can exit their positions using WhatsApp. But again, it's not the client's problem, but there are so many moving pieces that go into enabling trading, right? I remember a couple of years back, like lines would be down because the BMP would dig roads, disconnecting connections, and so as I said, K and the tech team that they've done a fantastic job of ensuring uptime, and I don't want to just state, I can also claim, because this number is available, the uptime that Zerodha has is amongst the highest when you compare us to peers in terms of the number of glitches that you have. That is a bad day, right? Because when customers don't have access to a trading platform, the dynamic nature of our industry, where people lose money because like a client who's lost money, he's going to come to you for compensation. But a client who's made money, you can't go to them and say, hey, give me back these profits because, right? So, I mean, it's natural, but it hurts, right? Because again, the philosophy at Zerodha has been like that saying, do unto others how you'd have them do unto you, right? So you feel the pain of the investor. So a bad day for me would be would have nothing to do about regulatory changes, would have nothing to do about Zerodha revenues dropping, because these are not things at play. Like when I speak to like this average revenue per user, ARPU, right? I learnt of this only a few years ago, and I don't have the number, right? So when someone asks me, what is your ARPU? Boss, I don't know. And it's not because it's not of my interest, it's because what do I do with it? It's not like my ARPU is X, so we will figure ways of optimizing it and doing it X plus, right? It's not like, I don't remember a single meeting in the last 16 years of having been at Zerodha which has centered around how do we increase revenues, like zero. Right? We've had product meetings, we've had tech meetings. It's not centered around this. So it comes across as very unnatural to me when someone, like some of these peers say, hey, what's your ARPU? I said, boss, I don't know.
Maybe one of the final questions I had is decision making. Like the kind of work that you do involves, faster decisions anyway. Like what is your mental model like? Because there's so many 50-50 decisions at the end of the day. How do you even make up your mind? Is there a process to it? And sometimes I'm sure you don't even have time to follow that process. So what do you do then?
So these happen when, see, regulations are not, there are some regulations which are in the clear, which is black and white. And there are some regulations where it is up for interpretation, right? I can interpret it in one way, someone else can interpret it in a completely different way, which is when this dichotomy of what should we do comes up, right? So there isn't a defined rule book again. The principles we apply is an action that we take. Is this in the interest of the customer? Is there something that peers are also doing? Because, see, I don't want to say that I don't do anything. Like if there is an offering that the entire market is giving to customers, I can't stand out and say, boss, you will not get this feature with me, right? So, for example, MTF is a product. MTF is a product that allows investors to buy stocks as investments where they only pitch in a small amount and they get funding from Zerodha for which they have to pay interest. Like, this is a product that is offered on the market. Like, I can't put my foot down and say, boss, Zerodha is not going to offer this as a product because it involves leverage. it involves charging the customer an interest. So I think some of these decisions have to be made pragmatically. So as I said, if it's not in the interest of the investor, it's never going to find its way through to execution. So,
but even product decisions, etc. Do you spend a lot more time looking at data?
We have people like you, Dinesh. You're part of the analyst team who's supposed to be coming up with data.
But it would depend on that.
And we can take Mohit's name. I'm sure he'll be thrilled.
And his website. I hope you remember the name. We'll plug
Which of the websites are we talking about?
The several ones which is burnt lot tokens on, but
yeah. So
is that something that you index a lot more on?
Yeah, not personally, but I think the analyst team that we all are a part of, again, the group sort of collectively sits, debates, what are the positives, what are the negatives. Again, no decisions are made with a very short-term kind of a time frame in mind, because a policy decision, it sort of stays sticky to the business over long runs, right? So we have all of these discussions, and if we feel it needs to be done, it gets done. Yeah.
Just one question that I had: were you a trader back then?
No, dude. I had no connection to stock markets whatsoever. Right? As I said, for me, it's the group of people I work with. Like, if this set of people was doing anything else, I would still be in on it, right? It's not like Nithin is driven by the markets, right? He really likes the stock markets. I don't think my love for stock markets ranks as high as it does for Nithin, but it's just the company of people. Like, even not just the 4-5 people, but everyone I meet in the office, right from the security guard who I interact with when I walk into the office, till people on the 3rd floor. Like, it just feels a happy place to be in.
Especially the people who sit in front of you. Just saying.
Yeah, so
I wanted to tell you what somebody told me recently. I think, and it stuck with me, and that's why I kept asking you some of these questions about your past, is that not all of us get enough chances to recollect what's happened in the past, and none of us really, like, we don't think about it. It's often said that like, all of us are just going through life, and most of my friends in my circle, I noticed this, and I think anytime we get a chance to reflect, I think we should reflect. And this person said, you never know when the next chance kind of comes. So I hope that this will get you to reflect even more, and we'll get you here again to talk about a lot more stories, etc. And but it's super nice. I think some of these things I didn't know, none of us really knew. The whole idea was to really know you better, and I think all of us know. So Krishna is no longer scared. So that's
Thanks, Dinesh. Thanks, Krishna.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Brokerage will not exceed SEBI prescribed limits.